Hello guys, today we're gonna discuss a topic that comes up very often when you say that you play poker, especially online poker. People ask you, how much money does a poker player make? They're, they're very interested with the money generated by poker or the losses generated by poker. So, yeah, we're gonna discuss the financial life of a cash game player, especially online poker player. And there's gonna be 1 minute of theory, like how do you calculate the average winnings or losses of a poker player. And then we're gonna put that into practice with an online simulator, a free simulator offered by optimuspoker.com. We'll see that later. You'll be able to use it for free as well after watching this video if you want. And in this video, we'll discuss about planning your career in poker, um, planning how to reduce your losses, to take less financial risk, and planning your studies, planning the way you're gonna improve your own progression in the game, basically. So let's start with the theory. Oh, and we'll use this simulator to study three cases. The recreational poker player, the beginner, basically, uh, who loses money. How much can he lose? Um, the regular, so this player who is transitioning from being a loser to being a more experienced poker player, studying the game, etc. And we'll end with the example of the professional poker player. How much does a professional cash game player make per month, for example? So we'll study the three cases with this online simulator provided by optimuspoker.com. So let's start with the theory. The how to calculate the winnings and the losses. Well, there's a key information here, which is the win rate. So the win rate is how, on average, how many big blinds do you win or lose every 100 hands that you play. This number, you can calculate that just taking notes of your results, etc. But basically, trackers do that. If you use Hold'em Manager or Poker Tracker or and to note, for example, the trackers, well, first they allow you directly, they display your winnings or losses, but we will see in this video that it's important for you to be able to calculate that by yourself. So you need to know more or less your win rate, and the win rate used to be from, I mean, as a general rule of thumb, from -10 for the beginners, so losing 10 big blind every 100 hands played, to +10, more or less. And the break-even poker player means that his win rate is 0. So he's not winning, he's not losing. Okay, and that's a decent result. So you take the win rate, you multiply that by the number of played hands, the number of hands that you play divided by 100. So for example, if you play 10,000 hands per month, which is classic, well, 10,000 divided by 100 is 100. So you take your win rate, you multiply this win rate by the number of hands that you played divided by 100, and the results, you should multiply it by the financial value of one big blind. So if you play NL100, one big blind is $1. If you play NL500, one big blind is $5, of course. So this is the theory. This is how winnings and losses are calculated. And regarding the win rate, the one that matters is the EVBB win rate, the win rate that you truly deserve. If you're experiencing a downswing or an upswing, I mean, it doesn't really represent uh, the financial uh, win or loss that you deserve. So you should take the EVBB win rate for this calculation. So this is the theory. Now let's put that into practice with the online simulator. So I'm going to use my account in optimuspoker.com. You can have a free account as well. You go to optimuspoker.com, you create an account here. It's going to be possible, and then you go to your profile, invest in your bankroll, and here there's financial life of a cash game player. I'm going to click that, and we land in this web page. So we're gonna set up a profile, the profile of a beginner. So a beginner, we're gonna say that very often they lose like -8 BB per 100. A whale is gonna lose much more, like -15, for example. But yeah, -8 is already a decent win rate for a beginner. For now, don't focus on this graph. I'm going to explain later how it works. This is pure modelization, but I'm going to explain that later. For now, we're going to focus on describing a profile. So our beginner is currently losing 8 BB every 100 hands played. Is playing classic poker tables, no limit 6 marks, not Zoom tables. He doesn't study, of course. This guy won't study for 12 months because at some point every poker player understands that he should start learning the game, because in the end it's costly. But this guy, yeah, he's really slow in his mind, and it's going to take him 12 months to understand that he should start studying. And during this time, this period he spends just playing, we're gonna say that this guy plays 3 times a week, 2-hour sessions. He's playing, let's say, 3 tables, and well, if he was playing NL25, it would not be too bad as a decision, because when you play, you don't want to play high stakes, of course. So if we keep these settings, this kind of loser with this kind of volume, this means that this player is going to lose $162 per month, which is well, it's affordable for most of the people. If you take my example, when I started playing poker in 2006, I had a good job, a good salary, no financial problem. I directly started playing NL200. So it means that at the beginning you lose much more money, like 1,300 per month, more or less, with this kind of profile. I absolutely don't recommend that. I think that, of course, at the beginning, in order to reduce, to minimize your losses, playing NL10 makes sense. Guys, don't spend time playing cash game under NL10, like NL2, NL5. This makes no sense. You are not learning anything, because the rake is completely, the rake is so high at these low stakes that it completely changes the game compared to NL100, NL200, or even higher stakes. So what you would learn at NL2 or NL5, you would have to forget it later to learn something new. So don't spend time. The only thing that you learn when you play NL2 or NL5, for example, is learning how to use the software where you're playing. But this is pretty much useless. Also, learning how to multi-table. Yeah, it's true. You can learn that, but don't spend, like in this example, 3 sessions per week, 2 hours per session, playing 3 tables just to learn how to multi-table. It makes no sense. So now we're gonna, well, just before going to the other example, the example of a player who starts studying the game, have a look at what this kind of profile implies in terms of money. So let's say this guy is gonna study later, and let's say um, when he's gonna study, he's gonna, let's keep the same statistics as the during the period where he plays. This kind of profile, which well, this guy already made 2 mistakes with what we we set here. The first mistake is that it took him 12 months to understand that he should start studying the game. And as you see, if he was faster in his mind, like starting studying in 2 months, this would drastically change the price that he would have to pay before becoming break even. So in this example, it would take him 9 months before becoming a break even player, and these 9 months would cost him $3,900 with these settings. So the first mistake is that this guy is too slow. The very first one we profiled here. So it takes him 12 months before understanding that he should start learning. And these 12 months, well, basically he's gonna waste his time. In the end, with this scenario, it's gonna take him 21 months before becoming a break-even player. And during these 21 months, he would spend, well, almost $14,000. $14,000. By the way, so these are theoretical examples with mathematical modelization. The reality is that as an average, including all kind of players, there was a Canadian survey that was done many years ago, like maybe 8 years ago, I think, maybe even before that. As an average, the online poker players were losing $2,700 per year. Okay, so the kind of optimistic scenarios that I built earlier, when a player was only losing 100, or I can't remember, but yeah, $100 per month, etc. It's far below the reality. And this one is much more pessimistic than the reality as well. So let's take a realistic example of someone who starts playing, but just let's say after 3 months, he understands that he should study the game, and this guy is clever. The second mistake I was mentioning earlier is that this guy, he won't do the same mistake. He won't start playing directly NL 100. He's gonna start playing NL 10. Okay, so here you reduce your losses a lot. 1 month of poker is costing you $65. This is perfectly affordable for most of the people. And then this phase where you're gonna study the game. So first of all, you're gonna study. It's here when you start studying. So how many months will you waste before starting studying? We set it to 3. And when you start studying, and eventually with optimuspoker.com, which is a web GTO solver with AI, you can train against, you can train to fix your leaks, you can detect your leaks, you can practice against the AI bots, you can run a poker IQ score to know where you stand compared to the population, and you can even watch the AIs playing one against the other ones. So like in this example, for example, we can have a look later. Let's say that this smart guy is gonna he's gonna study normally, let's say, not intensively. On my side, when I do something, I do it intensively, but let's say that this guy does just studies in a normal way, in a normal volume. And let's say during his study time, his study period, he plays the same with the same volume as he did during the period when he didn't study. And here we're gonna change that, otherwise it's gonna be hard to read this graph properly. So for now, as you understood probably, I don't think I said that yet, this graph has 3 periods. The first period is the period where the user only plays without studying. Then there's one period where the player studies the game and plays the game. And then there's a period where he's already profitable. He's got a win rate of above, here in this example, above 5 BB, 5 BB per 100. So he's a consistent winner yet. And during this period, he's going to increase his volume. So here we're talking about planning your career in the poker, planning how much money you can afford to lose at the beginning, how much time you want to spend studying the game, and what's the purpose of all this. When you become a profitable poker player, or if, I should say, if you become a profitable poker player because you followed the learning path efficiently, how will you make this experience profitable? How will you enjoy the benefits of these new skills that you developed of becoming a profitable poker player? So let's say that this guy, once he starts studying, is gonna study more intensively, so probably multi-tabling, longer sessions, probably a little bit more tables, but at the same time he's spending more time studying, so less time playing, because keep in mind that one basically playing and learning poker is the same as for any other sports. Whether you play football, tennis, or whatever, you spend much more time training than playing a game. I mean, a football player, for example, is gonna train 3 or 4 times per week. I'm not talking about the professionals, but just the football players with a decent level. They are gonna train as a minimum twice a week, but mostly 3 or 4 times a week, and then they're gonna play during the weekend. Well, for poker players, it's almost the same. I mean, professional poker players, for example, they're gonna spend 3 hours training for 1 hour playing, more or less. It can be 2 hours training, 1 hour playing, but most of the time it's more 3 hours training and studying, and just 1 hour playing. So there's this 3-to-1 ratio basically. So you spend less time playing during this period because you're going to study more, you're going to study, and even I recommend that you study intensively. And here you see that this learning period is going to get shorter. It's going to take you maybe around 7 months to become break even. And this learning period is going to cost you like probably less than $1,000. Here in this example, it's going to be $320 more or less. And then when once you become profitable, you know how to play poker, you acquired these technical skills, you can increase the volume that you play. So for example, yeah, you can play 4 sessions a week, or even let's keep 3 sessions a week. Average session time, let's say 3 hours. Multitabling, it's possible to multi-table much more, like for example 5 tables as an average, and let's say you play NL 100. Well, here we planned a decent and rational way to build your poker career and your poker discovery, your poker learning, etc. Don't waste your time playing without learning, without studying, just clicking buttons and losing money. Why? Because you're wasting many things. You're wasting your money, you're wasting your motivation, and the most important thing is that you're wasting your time. Guys, you only live once, and this is true for anybody. Time is precious. It's a precious thing. It's a very valuable thing. So spending time at the beginning clicking buttons without learning anything, I mean, you it's a very bad way to start in poker. So many beginners are not aware of all this, don't understand that there are several ways to improve at poker, to minimize the financial risks, to take more pleasure, also because believe me, I mean, poker is much more fun when you make money playing instead of losing money. And yeah, I mean, this is definitely my tip, my advice. Learn as soon as you can. Start learning the game as soon as you can. As I said, nowadays, when I started learning the game in 2007, more or less, books were one of the best ways to learn poker. Then there were training video websites like Juices Cracked and things like that, which were much more efficient than reading books, even if it was not perfect. But nowadays, GTO solvers, training websites like OptimusPoker.com with modern technology, mathematics behind, this is the nuts. So yeah, once you acquire this kind of technical skills and this kind of level, you can eventually pretend to become a profitable player. And so let's see the final example, the professional poker player. So when I used to be a professional poker player, I think I played around 4 sessions per week, which is not huge. Probably 3 hours average time per session. Whoa, tables. So I already ran a simulation earlier. I thought I could play 8 tables, but in the end, it's probably not true. I'm gonna adjust that. And the stakes, I used to play from NL 1000 to NL 10,000. I think the average stakes were 2000. So this leads me to, well, $80,000 per month. This is too high. So yeah, this number is I think is too much. As an average, I probably multi-table like 5 tables. Well, we start to be closer to the reality now. Yeah, this tells you more or less how much uh, a cash game, an online poker player playing cash game can make in 1 month. And these numbers, honestly, is just doing poker half time. Because if you're playing poker full time, you can play much more than this. So here with this simulation, this kind of professional poker player makes around $40,000 per month, which yeah, definitely makes sense. And I mean, yeah, I know examples of poker players who still make this amount of money and eventually much more. So yeah, guys, if you want to keep on studying this kind of career planning by yourself, just go to optimuspoker.com, go here, create an account, check your profile. This is for free. You can do that for free. You will be able to use the trainer, the solver, practice versus the AI, take a poker IQ test, and then click here, financial life of a poker player. Um, and you will eventually be able also to watch the AI play against each other. Once again, this video was about explaining the theory and showing a little bit of practical examples behind the calculations of the winnings or losses of a cash game player. Once again, my advice is that you start your poker career focusing on learning the game, studying the game as good and as fast as possible, rather than focusing on playing, because this will lead you to big mistakes, costing big money, and this is gonna cost you some pleasure as well. As I said, poker is much more funny, much funnier when you make money when playing. So that's it. I'd like to read your comments in this video webpage. Tell me what you think about all this. Eventually ask me questions, um, and tell me what kind of content you want me to develop and to produce for the next videos, because yeah, I'm really interested in knowing you where you stand in this poker learning path, in this poker career. Do you consider yourself as a beginner, as a regular player, eventually as a professional poker player? Tell me about your experience. That's it, guys. Thank you very much. I hope you liked it, and be brave at the poker tables. Cheers. Bye.